Welcome to the InfoMullet YouTube channel. If you enjoy this content, please like or share. And if you'd like to support the InfoMullet by becoming a mulleteer, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate your support. Media literacy. What is the spotlight effect? A spotlight effect is when a news story highlights something that could be bad or could be routine, and it's not exclusive to one or the other. That happens all the time in the routine case, but it also now in the media story is being presented as bad. And what happens is the media spotlight shines this giant spotlight and says, this thing is bad. Then everyone goes, oh, that's bad. They start looking for it. And because it happens as a routine course, they see it everywhere. So the spotlight effect is shining a spotlight on something that happens all the time, because maybe there's a legitimately bad thing that happened. But when people go looking for it, they find it. And this creates a feedback effect of, oh my gosh, the really bad thing is really happening. Look at all this evidence we just see. And you see this a lot of times in moral panics. What is a moral panic? A moral panic is a form of social contagion where we feel that our values or our norms or our safety are being threatened, and it spreads like wildfire. So when you combine a spotlight effect with a moral panic, you get a situation that we had with this kind of, and it gets complicated in this case because when we're talking about the post office, we're talking about the removal of mailboxes, the locking of mailboxes, the funding. The president himself set this whole thing into motion, right? This is all something that he set out by consistently slamming mail-in voting when there's zero evidence that the fraud rates are any. I did a check on the stats. It's like 0.01 with times 10 to the negative E. It's so far down. I think the Heritage Foundation did a check on something like 15 million mail-in ballots of Oregon and found 15 that were fraud. Normal campaign fraud, when and where it happens, because it does happen, are almost always local campaign officers. I mean, that's the unsung truth here is it's the campaign officers and the political parties itself. It rarely involves mail. It rarely involves these dastardly things. It involves campaign officers playing with the things, or more traditional suppression of, removing polling places. But anyways, the president got in this big thing about the mail, and all of a sudden everyone's like, we're seeing the mailboxes removed. It's happening live. This is it. I saw progressives who have never been a Second Amendment supporter in their lives all of a sudden post that a Second Amendment solution was needed for the removal of the mailboxes. And I'm like, hold on, folks. Just before we grab the musket and ride the pony, one by land, two by sea, let's check this, because it's a spotlight effect and a moral panic in the middle of an election year where the president himself is saying, I'm going to interrupt this. So I can understand. But when we look at some of these pictures, let's start first talking about mailbox removals and locking, right? These are the most visual. So these are the kind of pictures that started to grow up. And you see on the top here, the version, Burbank is trending. This picture was in Burbank, right? And this is someone who actually lives in this area. These were saying, have you ever seen a locked mailbox in your life? And really dramatic. And she's like, these have been locked for 2 years. They were locked because ironically, they were locked to provide mail security. There was a problem in after hours with people fishing the mail out of the mailboxes, so they locked them. And I went back and I found the news story from 2 years ago about these mailboxes being locked, and the thief story. It's in the links. Then there's the one, and so this is one of these things where the media spotlight, people, you don't notice this. You drive around all the time. You don't notice the mailboxes are locked, but people live in the area. They're like, okay, those mailboxes get locked. All of a sudden you see it's locked. You see the media telling that the president's going to interfere in the election. The president's saying he's going to interfere in the election, and it all blows up. On the right is from Boston, some images from Brighton, and they're like, look, it's happening now. This kind of, it's happening now. The revolution's happening now, and you've got a picture of a truck with some mailboxes. And it's this emotive, evocative language that is key to the moral panic. Our values are being attacked. It's happening now. You have to do something. But notice what's on the side of this mailbox, this graffiti mark here. So when you dig into managing mailboxes, there is a constant removal and replacement of mailboxes for 3 reasons. 1, they get damaged. 2, they get tagged with graffiti. And 3, it's a low volume area. So all the time, you're talking about tens of thousands of mailboxes across the United States. They're constantly being removed and being replaced with new ones that aren't tagged with graffiti, or they're being removed because it's a low volume area. So this is a constant thing happening. But now the media spotlight drops in on top of it. And I included the Boston, there's a local Boston story explaining how the post office had described months ago that they were going to remove the graffiti tagged mailboxes as part of a regular program. So, but this media spotlight drops in as the moral panic's going on, and all of a sudden everyone thinks that, you know, there's this thing. And this is going to happen throughout the rest of the campaign. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to follow the InfoMullet, visit us on Facebook or Twitter. And if you'd like notifications when we post new video content, click on the red subscribe button below the video. If you've ever wanted to become a mulleteer and support the InfoMullet, visit us on Patreon. We appreciate the support.